in New York, outside the United Nations. Colton, you've been listening as well. My takeaway is that there were a lot of expectations that Donald Trump was going to be fairly harsh in his condemnation of Canada and other countries who are supporting a Palestinian statehood. That really wasn't the case, and a lot of this speech did focus in on some of that green energy, renewables, and at one point the president said that the carbon footprint is a hoax and climate change is that biggest con job. What do you take away?
Yeah, as much as this was a rejection of the decision of some nations here at the United Nations to recently recognize the state of Palestine, overall, this was a rejection of the United Nations itself, of what the body does, of its stated goals, by and large. We heard him railing as much against climate change and green action, which the United Nations does quite a bit of work to promote among its members, but also on immigration, specifically on migration, saying that the United Nations was created new problems. He called uncontrolled migration the #1 political problem, said that they were sponsoring an invasion into Western nations, funding an assault on Western nations. Those were the words that Donald Trump used when he was discussing migration. He came back to that theme repeatedly throughout the hour or so that he was speaking there. It was, alongside with climate action, the two repeated elements that he spoke about. And this was a steadfast rejection of the work that the UN does. It's part of the reason why we saw the United States pull out of the UN Human Rights Watch. On top of that, we heard him talking about the United Nations itself, saying it has tremendous potential, but isn't coming close to living up to it, saying too often member states are putting forward just empty words which don't solve wars. He talked about the U.S. offering leadership and friendship to countries that would work with it moving forward, but didn't offer a clear example of what it actually was that the United States would be doing in place of international bodies like the United Nations. You point out he did make those very quick remarks on the Palestinian recognition. He did call it a reward for Hamas, but by and large, this was Donald Trump expressing his displeasure with the United Nations. His comments on tariffs were also interesting, but I don't think relatively new. He's frequently referred to them as a way to defend American sovereignty. What you saw congruent throughout all of this, through his message on climate change, on tariffs, and on migration, was this sentiment that the United States had been hard done by, and that this was his way of pushing back against external policies that he felt had not served the U.S. and he made it very clear when he said, we only do business with people I like. When I don't like them, I don't like them. And then when speaking about Brazil specifically, but also referring to other tariff countries, acknowledged the fact that he believes countries can only do well when they're working with the United States. So a wide-ranging speech here, but I many of the representatives in that room of 193 UN nations did not feel aggrieved at one point or another by his comments.
Okay, so clearly lots to keep getting into. Colton Praill in New York outside the United Nations for us.